Hello, everybody, and welcome to this video. We're going to break down how to apply to the Air Force Academy and how to make yourself the most successful possible in that process. So stay to the very end of the video because this video will take some of the gray areas out of there when it comes to the application process and the nomination process. I'm just really excited that you're here to see this. So this is the first step on your journey. This is a journey that's very fulfilling. Let me tell you, my name is Major Ryan Bodenheimer. I'm a former F-15E pilot and an F-16 Thunderbird pilot. And this is one of the most incredible journeys that you could embark on. So I'm really glad you're here. With that said, I'm going to dive into this briefing that's going to give you a better understanding of the Air Force Academy and just help set you up for success overall. Okay, so the Air Force Academy in general, we'll talk about where it is and what it has right now. So it's located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, about 60 miles from Denver. It's a massive, massive facility. So ton going on there. It's got everything that you would need in like a small city. And then it's also got a little mini airport that has a flight team and a jump team. So really cool stuff there. The cadet wing itself, all 50 states, territories, foreign countries. It's got a diverse heritage involving lots of people from all over our country and then other countries as well. Here's a little breakdown of the cadet wing. About 4,200 and some change when it comes to the cadets there. The majors, there's 27 available majors for you to check out. I'll let you scan that for a second. Here is the core curriculum. So as you can see, there's some pretty heavy classes as far as the weight of calculus, chemistry, computer science, things like that. The classroom itself, small class size, which is awesome. Accessibility to the faculty is huge because of that reason. Here's the cadet daily schedule. So starting bright and early at 5:15 a.m. and then you're not done until around 11 p.m. So definitely something worth considering as you're applying to the Air Force Academy. You know, is this something that you want to go through, and are you ready to dedicate yourself to a schedule like this? Pretty much, I mean, essentially year round, maybe except for a couple weeks. There's varsity sports there, as most of you probably know. There's also club sports, and there are intramural sports, which everyone will compete in. There's also clubs and extracurriculars. I'll give you a second to check that out. And international experience, I hinted to this earlier, but one of the massive pluses of the Air Force Academy is the international experience that you will see as a cadet there. Summer training. So before you start your freshman year, you will go through basic training, and then there's some pretty neat stuff that'll be offered to you the following summers after that. So as an example, you might find yourself at Nellis Air Force Base in the back of an F-16 doing an incentive flight. You might find yourself hanging out with security forces and shooting some of the big guns that they have, or involved in some amazing like engineering projects that the Air Force kind of brings you in and lets you have a peek at. There's just so many different exposure experiences that you'll get as a cadet at the Air Force Academy. So you'll graduate with a Bachelor of Science and you'll be commissioned as an officer in the Air Force. It's a minimum of a 5-year commitment after that, depending on what your specialty is and what your job is. In 2016, a little bit of old material here, but this is what the cadets graduated with. And we can just kind of apply this, you know, maybe project it forward where it's not going to be exactly the same now, but it'll give you some rough ideas of what the jobs were. So pilots were pretty heavily weighted, and then it goes down the line for some other jobs. It's a kind of a, you know, it's a misconception that pilots, you know, are kind of all of that graduate from the Air Force Academy. There's so many different jobs that come out of there. And now you can be commissioned in the Space Force, which is great. So now let's talk a little bit about the selection process here. So you're going to do a pre-candidate questionnaire, and then you'll get an offer to become an official candidate, which is what's called a candidate kit will be sent to you via email. You'll click on it, it'll walk you through the process. And then that's going to take you through these things. Are you academically competitive, physically competitive, and do you qualify medically? And then you need to obtain a nomination, which we'll get to a little bit later. Then they will let you compete for that official offer of appointment. So all this stuff is going to set you up for that competition where you go through these different rigorous activities where they assess your background, they assess the things that you've done in school, and they see, you know, are you a good fit at the Air Force Academy? And then obviously we hope that it all ends in an offer of appointment. And some of these things, these tips I'm going to give you will at least help you as you strive to be the most competitive candidate possible. Here's the eligibility. I'll let you read over that. To get started, you're just going to go to academyadmissions.com. Couldn't have made it any easier. You're going to click that big blue button in the right that says apply now, and it's going to get you going with that pre-candidate questionnaire. These are some of the things that it's going to have you do. This 1786 form only applies if you're currently an airman in the Air Force seeking a nomination. And this is what's going to take the place of a congressional nomination for you. But if you're in high school, don't even worry about the last 10 seconds of what I just said. All right, this is kind of the meat and potatoes. So advice for admission, strong foundation in math and science. You got to make sure that that's a focus of yours. You got to make sure that you're doing some type of prep course for the ACT and the SAT. And you need to take that early and take it often. For the pre-candidate questionnaire, they are going to ask for your ACT and SAT scores. If you don't have those, just provide your pre-ACT or your pre-SAT, and then make sure that you have your SAT or ACT scheduled. You just need to take one or the other, and they will take the highest score. So your highest score in each category will be taken, and it's not like you're going to be penalized if you get a higher score in one and it was a lower score than what your previous test was. They're going to take the higher of all those different tests. So early and often is your best strategy there. Being well-rounded is obviously huge. And you're probably already well aware of this, that community involvement is huge as well. Physical qualifications, this one can sneak up on people. I don't want it to sneak up on you. So right now, make the commitment that you're going to be working out and you're going to be focused on these specific categories, which might be different than what you're normally focused on. There's actually a basketball throw where you can see down here in the right-hand side of the screen, you're on your knees and you're using one hand to throw a basketball. Not something that we typically do very often. So definitely recommend practicing this and doing a lot of attempts to make sure that you're constantly improving and getting that basketball further and further down the line. Pull-ups, a shuttle run, sit-ups, push-ups, and 1 mile run. Do not wait for 2 weeks or even a month before to start training. Start training now. Start training 6 months or a year before you're going to have to take this fitness assessment, so that you're not put in a position where everything else is great, but your fitness isn't to the level where the academy wants you to be. All right, medical qualifications. These will be triggered by completing certain things in your pre-candidate kit, your candidate kit, and then it'll trigger this medical qualification evaluation. All right, here's just some rough ideas. The graduating class of 2020, this is the average high school GPA, 3.9, and then for the prep school, 3.47. And it gives you the different test scores down here that kind of give you an idea of what the Air Force Academy is looking for, but it changes every year, and it's just based on a whole person concept. So there's a lot of different categories that they look at, as I mentioned above, but this will give you a ballpark of kind of, what you should be striving for or trying to beat. Okay, for the prep school, now this is not something that you have to apply for separately. Essentially, the Air Force Academy will either say, hey, we're going to offer you a direct appointment to the Air Force Academy, or we're going to offer you an appointment to the prep school. And normally that's to help you prepare more academically or in athletics. Okay, so Academy admissions is where you want to go. If you happen to be an airman at an Air Force base, currently you're on active duty, USAFA/lead at usafa.edu will give you more information on what you should be thinking of. But essentially, there's going to be different processes if you're already in the Air Force. All right, I want to quickly step over to nominations. So I'm here on academyadmissions.com. And as you can see, there's a whole list here on the left side of the screen that walk you through how to apply. Very user-friendly. So this will just totally clear up a lot of questions for you, guaranteed. But this one, the nominations thing, I've noticed has been a little bit confusing for people. So I'm going to give you a one-stop shop on how to do it, how to knock this out of the park. So seek your nomination is what I'm clicking on. And then it's kind of cool. It gives me a lot of information here about the nominating categories. Congressional is definitely one that's a big focus. So you're going to be applying through both of your senators, and then your congressional nomination will come from your congressional district that you live in. So that's the one I want you to focus on. So we're going to go to congressional, and it's going to walk you through this one is a request sample letter. Hopefully you won't need that, and I'll tell you why here in a second, but it'll give you an idea of what it will look like. And you're going to scan through this, you're going to read this information. Essentially, it's going to tell you to contact the people that I just told you to. So as an example, I pulled up 2021 district map of Nevada. All right, so when I zoom out a little bit, you can see the different districts. So District 4, District 2, District 1, it's right down in here. So let's zoom in down in here. There's District 3. So you want to determine where you live, figure out your pinpoint location, and then come to the conclusion. Let's say in this, we live in Henderson. You live in Henderson, Nevada. You're in Congressional District 1. So you're going to search for your congressional representative for Nevada District 1. And then your state senators, your national senators. So you'll have 2 of those. You'll be looking for those as well in a similar process. So Congressional Nevada District 1 is Congresswoman Dina Titus. She has a really user-friendly way here to find the requirements for her to offer you a nomination letter. So you're going to go to Service Academy nominations here under students. And this is going to be different for each congressional district, but it's okay. You'll be able to figure it out. Service Academy nominations. And then this gives a lot of great information on what she's looking for and the process that is involved. There's a number here. You can call her office to ask questions. Here's the important dates. So November 1st, all of the initial applications need to be received by her office. And then the 13th is when they actually make a decision. So you got to like beat this date, beat the November 1st date. Just be way ahead of the game and don't wait till the last minute. Here's some requirements here. And I went ahead and downloaded a sample form from her website for the application. So I'm going to scroll to the top of this. This is the application. So you're going to fill it out, everything that's required. And then you're going to go to the very bottom. You're going to sign it and you're going to mail it to this address. So in Congresswoman Titus's case, she wants you to mail this to her office. And then what I would do is I would mail it. And then, a week later I would call and say, hey, was this received? Or do some sort of verification, make sure that you have like letter verification so you know that this was received by their office, so you're not just guessing on that. There are other congressmen and congresswomen who will have you do the form online. So that keeps you from having to send it in, but each one is different and they set it up according to their own preferences. Okay, so overall, I really hope that takes some of the nuance and some of the gray area out of this. Overall, this is just a really exciting process for you, and it's one that you'll look back on and you'll know that it was a bit of a challenge to apply. You'll be grateful that you did, and you'll be grateful that you put the time into making your application as competitive as possible, because it can literally lead to one of the most fulfilling careers on the planet, in my opinion. I'm really excited that you're here to see this video. Again, I'll put my contact information in the link of this video. If you have any questions for me or for the Air Force Academy, feel free to reach out. Really excited that you're here seeing this video. Thank you, and wish you all the best.